What's going on YouTube? My name is Marcus, aka Apostle, bringing you another Spellbreak guide. Today we are talking about the Lightning Gauntlet. I want to talk about the Gauntlet in particular because I want this video to be useful for everyone, even if you aren't playing the Conduit class. If you are planning on playing the Conduit class, there will be some tips in here for you too, but whether or not you are, this video should be helpful for you. If you do find this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out the Twitch stream down in the description below. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting me, you can see my creator code right here, Apostle OG. You can throw that in the Epic Games store or the Spellbreak store when Spellbreak comes back online. So if you want to support me, I'd really appreciate it if you do that. We're going to start off this video with some of the basics of the Gauntlet and then get into more advanced stuff as we go along. Finally, finishing off the video with what I think is the most useful part, a fight breakdown using the Gauntlet. I'm going to show you guys a fight and then go through and explain exactly what was going through my head and why I made the decisions I made. I really think that's the most useful part of this video, so be sure to stay until the end. Anyways, let's get into the video. The Lightning Gauntlet is a mid to long range gauntlet with fast cast times and a fast projectile speed. This gauntlet is most similar to a slow firing assault rifle. If you're using the Conduit class, your primary attack is going to ramp up in damage the longer that you hold down your attacks. As for Lightning Sorcery, this is going to cast an AoE attack that targets the player closest to the center of the attack. Whoever it hits is going to get struck by lightning, which not only damages the player, but also stuns them, leaving them unable to attack or use their rune for a short period of time. If you're running the Conduit class, you're going to get a lot of abilities that buff your sorcery. On level 2, when you cast your sorcery, you're going to gain an extra rune charge. On level 3, when you cast your sorcery, it's going to give you infinite mana for a short time. And for level 4, your sorcery is going to strike multiple times. As you could imagine, if you're playing the Conduit class, it's going to be a lot of sorcery management. Now that you know some of the basics, let's talk about which gauntlets you should pair lightning with. Since lightning is best used at mid to long ranges, it pairs well with a close range gauntlet. What you decide to run with lightning depends on what range you want to run your lightning at. If you want to use lightning as more of a long range gauntlet that finishes off the last bit of health on an enemy, you can run fire or stone as your offhand. These are going to help you do damage at close or mid range. If you want to be more reliant on lightning at mid ranges, you can run toxic or wind to back you up if people get in your face. These are both really close range gauntlets, so you're going to want to use your lightning outside of close range. Personally, I wouldn't recommend using ice with lightning because you are really weak at close ranges since they're both long range gauntlets. And in Spellbreak, a lot of your fights are going to end up close range. So taking ice with lightning just really isn't the best idea. As for runes that you should pair with lightning, it depends on how you want to play. If you want an advantage in close range combat, you can use Dash, Shadow Step, or Spring Step to give you an upper hand. And if you want to kite more, you can still run Dash, but you could also run Flight and Teleport to help keep your distance from the enemy. Your rune choices are really expanded when you decide to pick the Conduit class. This is because of your level 2 ability that gives you an extra rune charge when you cast your sorcery. Basically, what this means is you're going to have your rune up a lot more often, and the cooldown timer on your rune is going to matter a lot less because you can get it as soon as you cast your sorcery. Now that we've covered how you should use and what you should pair with your lightning gauntlet, let's get into the fight breakdown. I'm going to let this fight play out in its entirety without talking over it so you can see how the entire thing plays out. And then we're going to start from the beginning and I'm going to break down what I was thinking in each individual moment. Let's roll the clip. Search history on point. True. Lucky for him, I don't miss either. That's Fro, isn't it?
Someone told me it was Fro. I forget. Like Afro. It's spelled like Fro. It should be Fro, but someone said it was Fro.
This is annoying.
I believe in you.
You shouldn't. I lost him. Yeah, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude, indeed. Now that you've seen the clip, let's go through and break it down. The duo that I'm fighting in this clip is actually some better known players, so they're pretty good at the game, which means that I have to play really smart throughout this clip to be able to beat them. Let's break down what I did. First off, let's start out with the build. I'm running the Conduit class with a Toxic Gauntlet and a Purple Lightning. Well, they're both purple. A Shadow Step rune, Runic Fluency, which increases my rune charges, Fervor, which increases my attack speed, and Thirsty, which increases the rate at which I drink potions. I do want to point out that I don't have an amulet or a belt, and I've only got green boots, so this is a pretty early game fight. I'm not prepared, I don't have any shield, and I have low mana because I have no amulet, and I'm also pretty slow because I only have green boots. So definitely not the best position to try to 2v1 in. Anyways, I start this fight, not really paying attention a whole lot. I see that there's a guy to my left that I casted a sorcery at, and then a guy straight in front of where I'm looking now. So I know where both the people are. I'm just kind of looking around, still trying to loot up. Not really looking to engage the fight. I didn't see that guy right to my right, or I did, and I just expected Bastion to be able to deal with him. I get a belt out of there. So that definitely helps me throughout this fight. That's a huge buff. I just got an extra 60 shields, which is not only good for just the pure shields, but it also means that if I find any shield shards that I can use them. So I have 2 places to get heals from now instead of just health pots. So anyway, this guy pushes Bastion. I push him back. Bastion gets dropped pretty quickly here. The guy doesn't really know where I'm at. I grabbed the high ground just because high ground's always great. And I go to drop down to chase this guy. I know he's low because Bastion's just fighting him. Spray him a little bit, and then hit him with a little juke here. So if you watch, I hit him with some lightning on my way down. Oh, I want to point out as well, since I'm running Toxic, I'm going to be relying on my Lightning Gauntlet for everything outside of really, really close range, because Toxic doesn't do a lot of damage unless you're literally like touching the person. But anyways, I'm hitting this guy with lightning, kind of checking to see where his teammate is. He's invisible right here. You can see right behind my head, like up here, you can see his little outline. So his teammate's right on me. And for the juke here, I face this direction, like I'm gonna run out into this field, and then I shadow step backwards and immediately turn around. So they're thinking I went forwards. Instead, I went backwards, and they're chasing me the wrong direction. I cast this sorcery to try to hit him. I whiff it, but it gives me an extra rune charge, which is great. So now I still have 2 shadow steps available for me, and now I know where both of the people are. So there's one up here in the tree to my right, and then the bug hunter is over there in the left in the open that you can see. I want to focus down the red Marla here, which is the skin that I'm wearing. The main character of Spellbreak is Marla. That's not her official name, but that's originally what they called her. And the red Marla is just the red version of this skin. So I know she's low. I want to try to focus her. I whiff my Toxic Cloud, and I'm trying to push her, trying to figure out where she's at. I end up pushing a little too far, and I'm just trying to keep a little bit of distance from them because I need the distance to be effective with my Lightning Gauntlet and just to keep tabs at 2 people at once. So I kept a little bit of distance, got a lot of easy lightning damage off, and then once they closed in, I hit him with a Toxic Slap and then whiff a second one. I'm just heavy pushing this guy because I want him dead. He's using recovery, so if you look here, you can see I hit him and he's low right here, and then his health is slowly going up. It's hard to see, but basically he's going to be really hard to kill, especially with lightning, which is a more consistent damage instead of a big burst of damage. So it's going to be hard to kill him unless I get a good Toxic Slap off or I hit a lot of lightning shots in a row. I end up in a really bad spot here with no movement. I have no shadow steps left, and I'm stuck in an open field getting pegged with fireballs. I've got a second until my shadow step comes up. I throw down my sorcery, so now I've got 2 shadow steps. I went from nothing to 2 in 1 second. So now I'm at 26 health. I turn around, I shadow step to get away. So this whole thing is just me trying to maintain distance. I know they're both using flame, so I don't want them to be super close to me because that's going to be easy for them to hit shots. At this point, I know they're both using flame. They both want to be close range with me. This bug hunter that's shadow stepping right here is running Toxicologist, I'm pretty sure. So when he does toxic slap damage while invisible, he's gonna do double damage. So basically I'm trying to make sure that he's not invisible. I do that by throwing down this toxic cloud and then shocking it, which is gonna shock everybody in probably about this range, if not further. He DF'd it as soon as I did that, but he's probably already shocked, which means that he can't shoot or use his rune for a little bit. So I'm backing up. I see him shadow step again in the top up there, and I know about the distance that he's shadow stepping. So he's not quite above me, but he's a little in front of me, which is a really bad spot to be with Toxic, because him being a little in front of me means that he's going to be able to hit big toxic slaps. So instead of trying to back away while he's already got momentum and I move backwards slower, I decide to run at him. So he shadow steps towards me, and to make it harder, I run at him. So instead of us being like this being him and this being me on the low ground, I go like this. And that's because hitting shots directly down is really difficult. So now he's got to look down, and I'm going to keep running, so he's going to have to spin. And I'm just trying to make it as difficult as possible for him to do damage to me. So I'm also still looking for this red Marla, because I know she's low. I'm low, so they're both pushing me really hard, and he's still up. So if the red Marla goes down, he still has a chance to kill me. So they're both just pressuring me really hard because they know that they can trade right now and full kill me even if I down her. So basically my goal is to down her, and their goal is just to full kill me, full W keying, pushing me super hard. But I know if I can get her down, I can bait the res, and it's a lot easier to deal with. So I push over the bug hunter's head, hit her with a little bit of lightning, slap her down, and then push back towards him, which is kind of a bad idea. Right now I don't have shadow step. My sorcery is about to come off cooldown, and then I lose him right here. He shadow steps. I have no idea which direction he went. I think he went backwards, judging just from watching it right now, but in the moment I had no idea where he was at. So I'm just trying to back off, and I went towards this tree on purpose. So what that does is, I think he's somewhere over here, maybe going for the res. So what that does is it puts me in the tree here. So it makes it so it's breaking line of sight. It doesn't protect me, but it makes it so he can't see me, and it's just a little bit harder for him to hit me. So I drop down, I shadow step back with my normal cooldown, and then I cast my sorcery, which immediately gives me another shadow step and does some damage to him. So then he throws down his toxic cloud. It looks like he doesn't have vanishing mists yet. So he also doesn't have outbreak, which means for toxic, vanishing mists is when you enter your toxic cloud, you dash forward and go invisible. So right there, that's what he was trying to do. He threw down his own toxic cloud on himself to try to close the distance and dash towards me. And then outbreak is the increased damage. So luckily it's an early game fight, so he didn't have either of those abilities, and he kind of hurt himself there by doing this. I get off some free damage, and I also shock the cloud, which means that he's going to be shocked, because it does have a pretty big range, like I was saying earlier. So not only am I doing damage, but I'm also preventing him from escaping or really doing anything. He's kind of in panic mode, backing off. We're both really, really low, pretty much one shot. I'm popping this potion. I see him go kind of behind this rock, and then I catch him right here. It's really hard to see, but if you look right in this open area, it's the easiest to see invis people along the sky. So if they're like above you and you can see the sky behind them, that's the easiest to see them. So I see this little ripple right up here. Keep your eye there. I'm going to keep going forward and back. And so I know he's right there. I'm trying to get this potion off because I'm super one shot, and it's almost there. So I just rotate around the tree a little bit, which blocks his incoming fireball, keeps me alive, and then allows me to get the potion off. And then I back off. I shadow step backwards to create distance because he's using fire. So I just know that I need to keep my distance on him. It's going to make his shots a lot harder to hit, and it's going to make my lightning even more useful. So we're going to just keep the distance. He's levitating straight up, which definitely wasn't a good idea. You don't want to be in the air against a hit. Lightning's, it's projectile, but its projectiles move so fast that it's almost hit scan. So at this range, it's basically a hit scan weapon. What that means is that when you click it, it's gonna hit that target immediately, whereas projectiles are like fireballs where it takes time to travel. So these do take time, but at about this range, they move so fast that it doesn't matter. So he jumps up in the air, and then now look. So if he stayed lower, he could have gotten cover behind this tree, gone behind the house, could have just broken line of sight with me, which would have prevented my lightning damage. But instead, he chose to go up in the air, giving up all cover and just becoming a free kill essentially at that point. It was a super intense, really fast-paced fight with a lot going on. So I'm going to try to give you guys a quick takeaway. So this is true for every gauntlet. Try to play them to their proper ranges. Like I said, Toxic is really only useful if you're like chest to chest with the person. You got to be really, really close because the more projectiles you hit a Toxic, the more damage it does. And then Lightning could be used from mid to long ranges. I prefer to use it as a mid-range gauntlet because it's just easy to hit shots. Like I was just showing you right there, it's basically hit scan from about that distance. So if you're good at tracking, then Lightning might be the gauntlet for you. With this build in particular, there's a certain range where you really don't want to be at. Right, so your Toxic, you got to be like this close to the person, and then from like here to here, neither of your gauntlets are really good. You're gonna get about half the damage out of Toxic, and it's gonna be really hard to track with your Lightning. So if they're in this like range, maybe like 15-20 feet, it's really not good for me. So I'd say in game distance from me to about this like pillar on the house is not great. Once you get past that distance, then it's pretty good for Lightning. You can track a lot easier and you could do a lot of instant damage. So just maintaining your ranges is really important. Another thing with the Conduit class is that you have a lot of ability to get your rune back up since you have the rune charge on your sorcery cast. So as you saw, I was using Shadow Step left and right. It's really good with dash, spring step, the longer cooldown runes. It's really good too, like flight and teleport, because those have like 10 to 20 second cooldowns, so you're basically just skipping that long of a wait. But I just prefer to play the closer range runes and have them up at all times. It allows you to dodge and get around really, really effectively, especially if you can hit them with the sorcery, because then you're dodging and then they can't do anything because they're stunned. So you really want to get good at using your sorcery as a Conduit player. Another big thing with the rune charges, if we go back to, let me find it. If we go back to right here. So this is when I was completely out of rune charges. I have 1.5 seconds remaining, but my sorcery's up. So what I can do now is I can cast my sorcery and then immediately use my Shadow Step to get out. But that's not the best thing. So that's kind of like a panic move. So what I do is I wait, because if you use your rune while it's still on cooldown, so if I popped my sorcery, got an immediate rune charge, and then used it, I'm gonna lose not only that one rune charge that I got from the sorcery, but also all of this cooldown. So instead of doing that, I cast my sorcery, right? I wait, there's 0.3 seconds, 0.2 seconds, I could still be shadow stepping at any of this time. I've got a full almost second that I can use my shadow step to disengage, but I wait this extra half a second here, and then that gives me my second rune charge, and then now I have 2 shadow steps available. So I can get up here, and then when he pushes me again, I still have this shadow step up, I still have this cooldown going, and it just keeps me alive for that much longer. Let's see if I can. So right here, this shadow step that I'm using right here, I wouldn't have available if I didn't wait for that cooldown to finish. And I'm pretty sure this is the shadow step that secures me the kills. Yeah, I shadow step over him and then am able to finish this guy because of that one little thing. So if you can, always wait for your rune cooldown to go completely around before you use it. If you're not playing Conduit or not using Runic Fluency, you don't have to worry about this because you don't have stacks of runes. But a lot of the time that you're going to be playing, you're going to want rune stacks because your rune usage is super important. And another really good thing I did in this clip was I just kind of was unpredictable. Like at the beginning when I showed you when I shadow stepped backwards and made them chase me the wrong direction. I went one way and then they went straight past me. That gave me a little bit of processing time to figure out exactly how I wanted to play out the fight. And it also confused them because then they had to figure out exactly where I was. Not only does it help me and give me a little bit more time to figure out what's going on, but it also completely shuts down whatever their plans are. And then another thing is always try to break line of sight whenever possible, especially if you're low. If you're running, I'm recharging right here, so I'm out of mana. And so I can't do anything. So the only thing I'm trying to do is avoid damage at this point. So always try to break line of sight if you're not able to do any damage. This is especially true for when you're playing against a conduit player. Like I was saying with this last fight here, when he goes up here, he is not necessarily breaking line of sight. He's kind of in the tree, but once I hit him the first time, I can see him. But if he got more through a solid object and didn't keep levitating, like if he kind of stayed in this tree area, maybe the tree branches would have blocked some shots and he would have been able to stay alive. Anyways, I do hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out the Twitch stream down in the description below. I'm going to be streaming a lot of Spellbreak, and if you want to go above and beyond in supporting me, you can use my creator code APOSTLEOG. You can see it in the top right corner up there. You throw that in the store when you're purchasing gold, which is the currency of Spellbreak. They actually show it on the site now. I found that out yesterday. So yeah, currency of Spellbreak is gold. When you're buying that, just use someone's creator code. It doesn't have to be mine. It gives the creator basically free money. So be sure to use a code and support your favorite creator. I do have a video like this on every single gauntlet. It's the same exact style where I do the basics and then I go through and do a fight breakdown. So if you're looking for any of the other gauntlets, I have them on my channel, so be sure to check that out. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the Hollow Lands.